United States Olympic Committee Training Design Symposium, 2007. Michael Favre, Masters of Education, Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. Creating the Strength and Conditioning Plan. This original lecture was about an hour and 20 minutes long, and these are audio notes. Why do you need to create a strength and conditioning plan? Plan for success. Example, academic plan, teaching plan, financial plan, rehabilitation plan. Why not a coaching plan? A coaching plan is checks and balances to monitor training. The 5 P's ensures a logical sequence of development. Get to point A and to point B in the right condition. Number 1, general preparation. Number 2, specific preparation. Number 3, pre-competition. Number 4, competition phase. Those are some of the 4 common phases of periodization. Sometimes people do 3 phases, sometimes people do 4 again. General preparation, specific preparation, pre-competition, and the competition phase. Plans help you develop from year to year and avoid starting over annually. Multi-year development comes from a summative plan. Everything should lead into the next phase. That is, year 1 builds into year 2, etc. Long-term plan equals talent identification. Fundamental preparation, sport-specific training, mastery, sustained excellence, and retirement. That's the long-term plan. Step 1, create a template. An annual plan with an eye to the future. Write it out and commit it to paper. To help plan training, competitions, and recovery. Bumper charts help you plan and see the training and focus competitions and recovery and camps and strength and conditioning and sport psychology. So Tudor Bumper was an author who has been highly regarded as really developing the periodization in the 20th century or so. He has several books on this subject, and one or two of them are called periodization. Templates also help you monitor training, volume plus intensities, volume load, or volume plus intensities equals volume load. Density of schedule, competitions may need to be decreased to maximize performance and peaking. Off seasons may need to be created due to density of competition season. What you do in phase 2 depends on what you did in phase 1. Template is flexible. So there was a lot of information there. The last piece of information is really important, so I'll just kind of review it. The density of the schedule and or training, meaning how many competitions you have while you're training. So you may have to sacrifice training for competition or competition for training, and if you kind of have too many competitions or too much training, i.e. it's a really dense schedule, then it's very hard to peak for competitions because there may or may not be enough time for an off season and or recovery. So the density of the competition season becomes really, really important if you're doing any type of long-term planning and or some type of periodization planning. Step number 2, establish competitive travel calendar. That is competitions, camps, and other travel. Prioritize your calendar and rank your competitions to eliminate unnecessary travel. Compete with a purpose and allow for training and recovery. Have fun and balanced life. One-time snapshot to make elite level athletes because of Father Time. So again, just in review, step number 2 essentially is prioritizing the travel and the competition schedule. Again, most of training design that's at a high level that has anything to do with periodization is going to be building in recovery all along through the training design, having an eye for recovery, because again, if we take recovery out of the plan, now there is a very minimal opportunity for the athletes to peak because they will be too tired. So if you've got too many camps and competitions and you're traveling too much, that is something that needs to be recognized and on a year-to-year basis prioritized so that you are giving your athletes enough time to develop. Ultimately, Father Time is undefeated, so the idea there is if you have put too many competitions, too many camps, and too much travel in, by the time they're at their right age to peak to make national teams, junior national teams, Olympic teams, they may be too tired. They may just have beat. Biologically, they may be, like 19, but, because they have trained so much, physically, their body feels like it's 30, and or their mind may feel like it's 30, and sometimes athletes actually leave sport just based on the training design. Step number 3, determine needs of sport athlete. Determine phase of training. Example, beginner versus elite, endurance versus power, general, specific, and competition phases. Develop and prepare athletes to train with general prep phase annually and long-term development plan over a career. Step number 4, determine specific focus of training for each phase based on demands, needs, that is, strength, power, endurance, hypertrophy, etc. Find needs per athlete, then enhance needs. Step number 5, determine specifics of training within phases, that is, exercises, strength, conditioning, sets, reps, intensity, frequency, pattern of loading. Time of year determines many factors. There is no set formula. Quality is goal for all training. Balance, coordination, and timing must be trained too. Small countries with limited resources find a way. Okay, so those were the 5 steps Michael Favre actually put together in order for your coaches to essentially create a template of a plan so that you would be able to create a long-term development plan for your athletes, keeping in mind strength and conditioning is a large portion of every single sport. By that I mean most of the ideas that he's talking about, they cross over to all sports. So if we understand the very basic principles of strength and conditioning, we can use those same concepts to enhance longevity and ability within our own sport. 5 S's: speed, skill, strength, stamina, suppleness, which means flexibility. Those are what we're trying to actually enhance in our sport through strength and conditioning or any sport-specific type of training. Training will affect body, either positively or negatively. Same training all year will maintain, keep strength, ability, etc. So, I mean, that's a simple phrase, but I'm going to say it again and then give you an analysis of it. Same training all year will maintain and keep strength, ability, etc. So if you change the training, which would be the opposite of that, you have an opportunity to increase strength and ability. In other words, if there is variety in your training, if it's a periodized training plan, you have an opportunity to increase strength and ability. But if you do the same training all year, you'll maintain and keep strength, ability. Overload and recovery enhance strength, ability over year or career. Frequency of training is developed over years. Elite athletes have different plan than beginners. Step 6. All training phases should summate or lead into one another. Undulation, vary training volumes and loads so it goes up and it goes down and it goes up and it goes down. Again, that's akin to variety and variation. Ascending or descending or both. Recovery is built into undulation and peaking. Long-term development. Step 7. Train week or training week, which is a microcycle. Vary intensities and volume between sessions. Mondays may be optimal for exercises that load body less, as an example. Step number 8. The training unit equals the training session. High technical, then low technical, generally. Because the body gets tired, the mind gets tired, so if you do the low technical first, it's much harder for the body and the mind to adapt to the high technical. There are exceptions to every rule, but it may be important to nail what's important first, then progress. Schedule must be flexible and adapt to athletes' needs. More than 3 peaks per year may be unrealistic. So the first 5 steps in order to create a template, I kind of stopped right at 5 so you could get a little bit of a review. But all together, he's basically put together 8 steps so that you would be able to create a strength and conditioning plan. Essentially, strength and conditioning is what we're actually doing in our sport. If you look at it this particular way, when we exercise or do whatever we're doing per sport, let's use wrestling as an example, or Greco-Roman wrestling as an example, because we're doing those sport-specific skills on an ongoing basis. If our plan is periodized, if we have variation in our training, now the muscles that we're using for those specific movements are going to be different than folk style by and large. Those muscles actually get stronger and they get conditioned, again, if the plan is a strength and conditioning plan that's periodized over time. So I always suggest on many of these audio notes to review these audio notes because there is a lot of information that I've actually condensed, typically between 10 to 20 minutes, and those lectures are usually like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half long. But for the average coach who may not have the opportunity to put their hands on or go to these United States Olympic Committee training design symposiums and or seminars, I think these are one way to bridge the gap between the knowledge base that a lot of elite level coaches are using in our country and abroad.